Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nayyar Hassan. I am from Divisional Public School, Model Town, Lahore. I'll teach you English. Students, I hope you will be safe and sound at home and you will be taking all the precautionary measures to save from coronavirus. क्योंकि सिर्फ एहतियात ही इसका इलाज है। कोरोना से डरना नहीं बचना है। और वो कैसे बचना है? आपने अपने हाथों को साबुन से अच्छी तरह धोते रहना है। अगर बाहर जाना बहुत ज़रूरी है तो क्या करना है? जी, मास्क और ग्लव्स के बगैर बिल्कुल बाहर नहीं जाना और कोशिश ये करनी है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा वक्त घर पर रहें। मामा की हेल्प करें, उनका कहना मानें। विल यू फॉलो ऑल दीज? से आई विल, स्टूडेंट्स। And the most important thing is that have faith in Allah just. Allah is with us और हम इंशाल्लाह जल्द इस मुश्किल वक्त से निकल जाएंगे। So students, here is the English book for grade 1. I hope you will have English books with you. The first unit which we are going to read. In my first lecture, I will explain this in simple English. Students, the main purpose of these lectures is that you should keep in touch with your books. I want to tell you about this story so that you could understand this easily when I will read this for you. This story is about a mouse who is very hungry. He looks everywhere but cannot find any food. He becomes very thin. At last, the mouse finds a basket full of corns. He also notices a hole in the basket. He easily moves inside the hole. He eats a large amount of corn. After eating a lot of corns, he becomes fat. Now he is unable to come out of the hole. He starts for help. Just then the rat comes along and he hears the mouse. The rat tells the mouse to become thin so that he would be able to come through the small hole. Students, you know that there is a moral lesson of each story. A moral is a type of message that teaches you a lesson, जिससे हमें कुछ सीखने को मिलता है. And the moral lesson of this story is we should not be greedy in life. Greedy means having much desire for something. Don't eat so much than you require. Students, here are some words from the story which I am going to pronounce you. So listen to me carefully. Mouse, mouse, fine, still, corn, corn, hungry, hungry, pass, pass, think, think, down, down, some, weeks, very, thick, wants, month, basket, basket, cloth, cloth. Now students, I'm going to read this chapter for you and I'll explain as well. After reading each page, I'll ask you some questions which you may see on the screen. मुझे क्यों ऐसा लग रहा है कि कुछ बच्चों की इंग्लिश बुक्स अभी तक उनके बैग्स में हैं? Hurry up, go and bring your English books so that we could start our first lesson. Should we start, students? Are you ready? Okay, good. It is a hot day. Mr. Mouse is hungry. He wants some food. What kind of a day is it? Yes, it is a hot day. Mr. Mouse is looking for food because he is hungry. He wants some food. He looks here, he looks there. Means he looks here and there to find for food. He looks and looks means he looks everywhere for food. He cannot find any food, but there is no food to eat for poor Mr. Mouse. The days pass, Mr. Mouse is thin. As the days pass by, Mr. Mouse becomes thin. Mr. Mouse becomes slim. The weeks pass. Mr. Mouse is thinner. Weeks mean a period of 7 days. Now the weeks pass. Mr. Mouse becomes very thin. Mr. Mouse becomes very skinny. Now, I hope you will understand this page. Now I'm going to ask you some questions which you may see on the screen. Question 1. What kind of a day is it? Yes, it is a hot day. Question 2. What is Mr. Mouse looking for? Why? Yes, Mr. Mouse is looking for food. Why? Because he is very hungry. Question 3. What happens to Mr. Mouse when the days pass? Yes, when the days pass, Mr. Mouse becomes thin. Now students, look at page 10. I'm going to read this for you. A month passes. Still there is no food. Mr. Mouse is very thin. Means after a month, Mr. Mouse has no food to eat. Mr. Mouse becomes very slim. Mr. Mouse becomes very skinny. I'm very thin. Thanks, Mr. Mouse. I must eat something. Mr. Mouse says to himself, I am very thin. I eat something. Mr. Mouse goes down the path. Now Mr. Mouse decides to go down the path. He sees a basket of corn with a thick cloth on top. There he sees a basket of corn from which the basket is covered with. Yes, the basket is covered with a thick cloth on top. There is a hole in the basket. He sees a hole in the basket. Mr. Mouse goes in the hole. Mr. Mouse is thin. Means when he goes in the hole, he is thin at this time. Mr. Mouse eats the corn. He eats and eats. I'm full, he says. Mr. Mouse starts eating the corn. He eats a lot of corn. After eating a lot of corns, he says, I'm full. Now students, look at these questions. Question 1. How long does Mr. Mouse wait for food? Yes, Mr. Mouse waits for a month for food. Question 2. Where does Mr. Mouse decide to go? Yes, Mr. Mouse decides to go down the path. Look at question 3. What does Mr. Mouse find? Yes, Mr. Mouse finds a basket of corn. Now look at page 11. He does not stop. he eats and eats. Mr. Mouse eats a lot, but he does not stop. He continuously eats more and more corns. Mr. Mouse is not thin now. Now, after eating a lot of corns, what happened to him? Yes, he becomes fat. Help, he shouts. I can't get out. Now Mr. Mouse starts shouting, please help, I'm unable to come out of the hole. Mr. Rat comes by that way. Just then Mr. Rat comes along and he hears the mouse. Mr. Rat says, Mr. Mouse, get thin, then you can come out. What he says? Yes, Mr. Rat says Mr. Mouse to become thin so that he would be able to come through the small hole. Now look at these questions, students. Question 1. What happens to Mr. Mouse? Yes, Mr. Mouse becomes fat. Look at question 2. Why is Mr. Mouse shouting? Gee, Mr. Mouse is shouting for help because he can't get out of the hole. Question 3. What does Mr. Rat tell Mr. Mouse? Yes, Mr. Rat tells Mr. Mouse to become thin. It's enough for today. I hope you will have understood this chapter, this story. Now students, your homework is you have to read this story with the help of your mother at home at least 3 times. And you are supposed to write a few sentences about Mr. Mouse. Okay students, I hope you will not waste your time at home and keep on hard working. If you have any questions, please do write in the comment box below. Thank you so much. Allah हमारा हामी नासिरो आमीन. Allah Hafiz.